Welcome to Revsportz. I'm Gargi Raut and I'm here with the Gopichand Pulela. First of all, I'd like to tell you that people like me who have grown up playing sports have always longed for a coach like you. But it's incredible to have you here. Let's get right into it. Olympics year. How do you handle the pressure as a coach?
Well, I think many of the players are pretty seasoned in that sense. But even then, some of them tend to get carried away with the pressures. So it's very important to keep reminding them that at the end of the day, sport needs you to be relaxed because being too much under pressure and stress tends to keep you defensive and safe, which is not a good way of playing because you want to be on court, you want to be thinking smart, you want to be going out there and trying things which are innovative, and that only happens when you have a mind which is clear and your heartbeat is not over the roof trying to just handle the pressure. So I think to stick to the process, to do the simple things well, good food, stay healthy, good thought, stick to the routine. I think these are very important things, and just stay positive and keep yourself surrounded with happy people is what I would think is important.
And being this close to Olympics, do you push players to be better with their skills or their mentality? What's
Well, I think it can be either or, it has to be both. Um, you have to keep improving, especially at a world level where each match is analyzed. You would see a lot of players have different game styles, um, new innovations, new skills added into the game very, very quickly. So, if you have a weakness and if you don't work on it, the world is going to exploit it very quickly. So, it's very important that you kind of go out there, keep working on your mistakes, be healthy and strong and be fitter, and these are like non-negotiables in some sense. And I think the only thing I would say is all of it is a process. um, you want it doesn't help the cause. You will have to work to deserve it is what I would say.
We've seen you all through these years. How do you balance between pushing a player and making sure that they're in the right mind frame?
Well, I think it's very important to actually put the perspective in place, to have an understanding of what can be done, what can't be done, what is realistic in terms of the goals, and just be there and say it's okay. If you lose, it doesn't matter. Till you're walking on the right path, you will eventually get success and nothing to worry about, and that's what would be important.
Spotlight will be on PV Sindhu as soon as she comes back. Where does she stand right now, mentally and physically?
Well, I think she's been a player who's been consistent in the last 8 years or so. Um, she has had some fantastic results. Unfortunate that she has gone down with an injury. But Sindhu, on when she's back, I think is definitely a force we can expect some good results from.
And how do you handle, stress with losing, stress and anxiety going out there, knowing you have so much on the line? You have only until April to get those qualifications. So how do you, channel that energy and go into that zone?
Well, I think the Olympics is not the end all. You cannot work like that. Um, it is an important milestone. It's very, very important. But it's not. The world is not going to come apart if you're not there, or if you don't win a medal. And I think that perspective is also important
Yes.
because you're desperate is not going to help your cause any bit. It's only going to complicate the entire perspective. So I think it's important to think on those lines. It's important to kind of stay healthy, trust the process. You're down now. All you need is two or three or one, two, three, depending on where you are. Good results, and you are in the reckoning. And it's also of no use just getting to the Olympics. I think it only makes sense to go to the Olympics if you actually have a realistic chance of doing well there. So I think don't put all your energies and burn out and have injuries by the time you get to the Olympics, because there's no point. We don't remember the people who've played the last few Olympics. We only, in some sense, remember the medal winners.
Yeah.
So there's no point burning yourself trying to get to the Olympics. It's important that you put this in perspective. And of course, I think be serious about your practice and the process.
Now, there's going to be a tons of pressure on the players, but is there a ton of pressure on you? Are you taking any sort of load?
Well, I've done this over the
Of
last
course.
many years in that sense. And I see it from a very large perspective. I think it's very important that the sport does well. One of us or two of us end up with the big medal, I think would be important for the sport. Personally, I think for me, I've been to a few Olympics. We've had medals in all the last few Olympics, and I'm pretty happy from my personal perspective. But I think another medal is not going to change my life in many ways. But I think it's very important for the sport that there is a medal. It's very important for the players that, and for the next generation of players, that we kind of are there in the medals from badminton.
Absolutely. And like you said, you've been doing this for a lot of years, but I've always wondered, players always have a coach to turn to. Who do you turn to always?
Well, I've actually had people outside of sport who always put myself as a compass to find my directions. I've always been very fortunate that my family is a huge support. And that makes a huge difference, because at the end of the day, I think we win many matches, but we lose way too many more matches than what we win. And we cannot be swayed by those wins and losses all the time. So I think I've been very fortunate that I have got people in my life who are able to tell me if I'm wrong, and I make it a point to ensure that those people stay in my life.
Since we've been talking about mental health, how do you make sure that there's an open conversation around mental health in your team?
Well, I think over expectations. I think being realistic would be an important starting point. Um, and sometimes players are not just putting the work enough, or they're not just built in the way for the medal, and they're expecting too much. So I think it's important to be realistic, um, and then take that conversation from there. It's very simple in many ways, um, and sport is cruel. Sport is got more failure than success. And what I really would talk to a player is, okay, let's break it down in the sense, there is a top player. Where does he stand? Where do you stand? In the sense, is your smash as good? Is your fitness as good? Is your ability to change the game as good? Is your technically, tactically, are you equipped to handle that? And I think let's break it down, and don't there's no point in being vague about things. You've lost because of a reason. Let's get to the point and let's work on it. There's nothing to be emotional about it, because it's only going to complicate the process. And it's okay to lose. Failure is part of life and part of sport even more. So we will be having more and more failures in the future. Don't think that it's not, but at least, are you going on the right path? Are you correcting yourself? Are you actually taking this as a learning experience? These are things which I think would be very important.
Being a champion is all about getting back up on your feet. But thank you so much for joining me and for this lovely chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much.